today we'll be doing the Hindu analysis of of 25th November. So I've shared the screen with you, and it says that the need for climate smart agriculture in India. So let's see what the authors have talked about. So the authors that have written this editorial, one is pursuing PhD in economics in Department of Economics and Finance at BITS Pilani, whereas the second one is also from the same. So now the two most important issues facing humanity in 21st century are climate change and food security. Just a second. Okay. Fine. So it says that the two most important issues humanity is facing in the 21st century are your climate change and food insecurity. Some of the ongoing effects of climate change, such as heat waves, flash floods, droughts, cyclones, are negatively influencing lives and livelihood. The world's southern continents are reportedly experiencing severe drought due to climate change, which negatively impacts agriculture production and farmers' livelihood. Both population expansion and dietary changes are contributing to an increase in the demand for food. The effects of environment on farm output only add to difficulty. As a result of climate change, traditional farming practices are becoming less productive. So, what the author want to say is that the traditional farming practices are becoming ineffective. And they are becoming ineffective by because of change in climate. That means change in climate is also hampering the farming practices. Now, when the change in climate is hampering the traditional farming practices, or they are not becoming effective, so what is going to happen is this is going to affect your food security. Now, climate change is increasing the dangers faced by farmers, prompting them to reevaluate their practices. Now, farmers are taking a variety of adaptation measures to reduce the negative effects of climate change. The need for holistic strategy is driven by climate change, dual changes of adaptation and mitigation, and the pressing needs for agriculture production to rise by 60% by 2050 in order to fulfill full food demand. Now, if you see what is happening is, see, population is increasing. As population is increasing, demand for food will also increase. When demand for food will increase, what is going to happen is you will require what? More of agriculture production. So more agriculture production is needed. Now, when more agriculture production is needed, what is demanded is that is to rise by 60% by 2050. That means more food is required, more agriculture production is required, and how much it is required? By 60% by 2050. Now, what is a viable option for the same? So, as a viable option, climate smart agriculture provides a holistic framework. The Food and Agriculture Organization said in 2019, climate smart agriculture is an approach for transforming food and agriculture system to support sustainable development and safeguard food security under climate change. That means what they are saying is that the climate smart agriculture is an approach to transforming food and agriculture system. So if you are having climate smart agriculture, that means depending upon the type of climate that is present and that agriculture is suitable for it. So depending upon the climate smart agriculture, what can be done is this will help in transforming food and agriculture system. How? Because if you are going to do agriculture, which is climate smart, that means whatever the climate is during that time. For example, there is heavy rainfall, and that time you can sow rice. So, depending upon the climate smart agriculture, this shall help in transforming food and agriculture system. Now, climate smart agriculture comprises three pillars or objectives. First is sustainably increase agriculture productivity. That means if you are adapting CSA, that is your climate smart agriculture. So, what is going to happen? You will be able to meet what? Sustainable agriculture productivity and incomes. Second is you adapt and build resilience to climate change. Now, second is that there would be resilience. Resilience for what? For climate change. And third will be to reduce, remove GHG emissions where possible. That means it will help in reduction of greenhouse gases whenever possible. Now, dimensions of climate smart practices include water smart, weather smart, energy smart, carbon smart practices. That means um, the climate smart agriculture would help in having what? Water smart, weather smart, carbon smart practices. The future impact of climate change on agriculture productivity could be substantial. In India, crop yield decline owing to climate change. That means what you are finding is that the crop yield is declining owing to climate change could be as high as 9%. That means 9% decline that is witnessed from the period of 2010 to 2039 owing to the reason of climate change. Now, in order to combat climate change and sustainably boost agriculture output and revenue, a radical reform of agriculture industry is required. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goal aim to end hunger and enhance environmental management. The Climate Smart Agriculture Foundation is in achieving these goals through sustainable agriculture and rural development. That means this shall help in achieving, that means your climate smart agriculture, sustainable agriculture, and at the same time bringing rural development. The National Action Plan on Climate Change emphasizes the role of climate resilient agriculture in India's adaptation measure. Programs such as Soil Health Card Scheme use precision nutrient management to optimize agricultural method. The concept of precision farming is still somewhat novel in India. While certain private companies offer services, the scope of these initiatives is extremely limited. So, one such practice is your soil health card. Now, what is the health card? Now, on timely basis there will be assessment that will be happening, and they will be checking the quality of the soil. Community supported efforts. Now, climate smart agriculture value in minimizing and adjusting to the effects of climate change on agriculture is becoming widely acknowledged on global scale. Now, there has been a worldwide uptick in community supported agriculture efforts. The efforts are made in attempt to create agriculture systems that are both resilient and environment friendly. That means that shall stay for long and is also environment friendly. Now, how shall that be achieved? So, they are saying that improvements in agroforestry, sustainable water management, and precision agriculture are all concrete examples of climate smart agriculture ideas in action, and they are not limited by any one country. So, what are they opting for? First is improvement in agroforestry. Second is sustainable water management. And third is precision agriculture. So they are opting for three practices. One is your agroforestry, other is your sustainable water management, the third one is your precision agriculture. Now, based on this, they say that these all three practices are your CSA, that is your climate smart agriculture. Now, climate smart agriculture promotes crop diversification, increases water efficiency, and integrates drought resistant crop types, all of which helps in lessening the disruptive effects of climate change. So, the climate smart agriculture helps in doing what? It helps in promoting crop diversification. Um, it helps in increasing water efficiency. And the next one is integrating the drought resistant crop types, all of which will help in lessening the disruptive effects of climate change. So, drought resistant crops. And all these three techniques will help you in what? Lessening the effects of climate change. The importance of climate smart agriculture lies in its ability to increase agricultural output while maintaining ecological stability. That means, as I told you, there is demand for more of food. So, what is going to happen is that more of agricultural output is demanded. So, more of agricultural output, but in the same time, there should be maintenance of ecological stability. Now, this correlation is not only a desired consequence but rather essential for long-term food security and sustainable resource usage in a warming planet. Now, by reducing exposure to climate-related dangers and shocks, climate-smart agriculture increases resilience in the face of longer-term stressors like shorter season, erratic weather patterns. In addition to these benefits, a significant output of climate smart agriculture implementation is increasing economic autonomy of farmers. That means, see, the more economically stable the farmers are, the better decision capacity they will have. So, the second thing that the author is talking about, bringing more economic stability to the farmers. Now, climate smart agriculture causes a dramatic change in farming communities' economic and social structure by distributing information about and providing access to climate resilient methods. Now, as the climate changes, farmers significantly, those already disadvantaged, can gain enormously from adopting climate smart agricultural techniques once they know about these techniques. So, the increasing popularity of climate smart agriculture is a promising indicator for the future of biodiversity conservation. Now, this collaborative effort helps to safeguard native plant species, keep pollinators' populations stable, mitigate the effects of habitat degradation. Now, the problem may also work in reverse directions. How? The agriculture sector also produces a large amount of greenhouse gases. The sector's share in greenhouse gas emission in 2018 was 17%. Now, this is what the author has said in starting also, that if you are having what a climate smart agriculture practice, this shall lead to what? Now, this will bring in what? This will help in checking the greenhouse gas emissions also. Now, the sector's share in greenhouse gas emission in 2018 was 17%. Now, therefore, the climate smart agriculture implementation is crucial for lowering what your greenhouse gas emission and protecting biodiversity. Now, furthermore, it aids in enhancing farmland carbon storage. That means now they are talking about another practice. What is that? Storing what? Carbon. And carbon where? In farmland. So, farmland carbon storage. Now, the Paris Agreement goal of limiting global warming by reducing GHG emissions, if you remember, they said what, rise in temperature should not be more than 1.5 degree Celsius as per the or pre-industrial levels. Now, that was under your Paris Agreement. Agroforestry and carbon sequestration are two examples of climate smart agriculture measures that could help India meet its international obligations and contribute to global fight against climate change. Now, rather than being a rigid set of rules, climate smart agriculture is more of a flexible concept with a wide range of potential applications. Now, however, the most challenging aspect of dealing with global warming is to create localized responses. Therefore, investing in capacity building programs and providing practical climate smart agriculture tools and knowledge is essential. Why? Because in this context, the author has talked about what the climate smart agriculture indeed helps in checking the climate also, because that shall help in reducing your GHGs, that is your greenhouse gas emissions. Now, production resources are diminishing and demand for agriculture products is increasing. Thus, there is need for resource efficient farming to cope with climate variability. Now, climate smart agriculture substantially contributes to climate adaptation, mitigation, and food security. That means if you are having CSA, that is your climate smart agriculture, this shall contribute to what? Climate adaptation, climate mitigation. So, climate adaptation, climate mitigation, and also meeting food security. Okay. Now, further, what else? Studies from different climate smart techniques used in India show that they improve agriculture production, makes agriculture sustainable and reliable, and reduce GHG emissions. One study from the northwest of Indo-Gangetic Plains, that means if you see northwest of Indo-Gangetic Plain, that means the western UP side. What are they saying? That wheat production shows that the site-specific no tillage is advantageous for fertilizer management and can boost yield. That means in the northwestern Gangetic Plain or in the northwestern Gangetic region, you will find what you'll find that this site or this site requires no tillage, and this is advantageous with respect to what? Fertilizer management and boosting the crop yield. Nutrient usage efficiency and profitability while lowering your GHG emissions. So, increasing your nutrients profitability. Now, what is a unique juncture? The majority of Indian farmers are small or marginal. Therefore, climate smart agriculture can play a significant role in helping them increase their profits. The intersection of climate vulnerability and agriculture importance places India at a unique juncture where climate smart agriculture adoption is not merely desirable but essential. Now, the author wants to say, see, the vulnerability or the climate vulnerability is so high, and what do you mean by climate vulnerability? See, every year you witness what? Cyclones in the regions of Bay of Bengal. This year, what we witnessed was a very disruptive monsoon. Now, if you go with these things, what or these factors, what you see is there's a high or there's a large climate vulnerability. Now, when there's large climate vulnerability, what is happening is because of this vulnerability, there is absolutely no choice, but it is the need of the hour. That means you can't escape what you can't escape the thing that you require what climate smart agriculture. Fine. Now, the National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, the National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, National Innovation on Climate Resilient Agriculture, Soil Health Mission, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojna, Parampragat Krishi Vikas Yojna, Biotech Kisan, and Climate Smart Villages are few examples of government initiatives in India that are focusing on your climate smart agriculture. So all these practices, all these techniques are confined to a fact for what that focus on climate smart agriculture. Now, various public and private sector entities such as farmer producer organization, that is your FPOs, NGOs, are all working towards climate smart agriculture. So, FPO and your NGOs are all working for climate smart agriculture. Now, climate smart agriculture has a potential to assure what food security, empower farmers, protect our delicate ecosystem by merging innovation, resilience, and sustainability. Now, if you see, we all are moving towards industrial revolution 4.0. Now, when we are moving towards industrial revolution 4.0, what is happening is there is emergence of technology that we are going to witness. So, more of technology in the market, emergence of technology. So more of technology in the market that will help in further bringing what innovation, resilience, and sustainability. So if you integrate technology with agriculture, and at the same time you are witnessing what climate smart practices, what are you going to witness? Now you are going to witness innovation, resilience, and sustainability. Innovation, resilience, and sustainability. Now, because of all these three practices, what is going to happen? You are going to witness climate smart agriculture. So this is what author wants to say. Now the author wanted to talk about the practices that would help in bringing more diversification in crops, which shall happen by climate smart agriculture. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. The next article says that Supreme Court has done well to remove the veto of governors. Now, what is this? Now, see, in past, I have covered the editorials that have been talking about the veto that is being used by governor and what is that regarding the bills that have been passed to the governors for their assent. Now, in parliamentary democracy, governors do not have a unilateral veto over bills. passed by the legislature. This is the crux of the Supreme Court's ruling in a case arising from Punjab after Governor withheld assent to some bills passed by the State Assembly on the pretext that these are adopted in an illegal session of the House. Now, the court's reading of the scheme of Article 200, which deals with grant of assents of the bill. That means Article 200 of the Constitution talks about grant of assent to bills. Now, this grant of assents to the bill is in line with the core tenet of parliamentary democracy. That means this is holding what the parliamentary democracy. And how is this responsible for parliamentary democracy? So the author is saying that an elected regime responsible to the legislature runs the state affair, while granting assent is a routine function. The other option is withholding assent or reserving a bill for the president's consideration have been subjects of controversy. Now, there is a provision to the article which states that as soon as possible, the governor may return the bill to the House for reconsideration, but when the bill is passed again, with or without change, he cannot withhold assent. That means the article talks about what? As soon as possible, and as soon as possible, what should be done? The governor may return the bill if it is not a money bill, because in case of money bill, he is bound to give his assent. So may return the bill to the House for reconsideration, but when the bill is passed again, with or without change, he cannot withhold assent. That means there are two things: either you give the assent, and the second is you return for reconsideration. And if you return for reconsideration, that means the governor, the next thing that happens is that when the bill is passed with or without change, there is absolutely no option. You or the governor has to give the assent. Now the Supreme Court has now read the power to withhold assent and the provision in conjunction, holding that whenever the governor withholds assent, he has to send the bill back to the legislature for reconsideration. Now, this effectively means that the governor either grants assent in the first instance or will be compelled to do so after the bill's second passage. Now, court has done well to point out that governors in a system that requires them to function mainly on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers cannot withhold actions on the bills and must act as soon as possible. So, this is a clear reference administered to governors who believe that they can endlessly delay actions on cabinet or legislative proposal because of the absence of prescribed time frame. That means since it is said as soon as possible, that means there is no prescribed time format. So if there is no prescribed time format, what is happening? What are the governor doing is that they are taking advantage of this, and when they're taking advantage of this, they are keeping the bill for a longer time, and this is affecting what? The working of the legislation or the cabinet. Now, the particular session of the assembly was illegal because an adjourned house was reconvened by the speaker on his own. Now, the court has ruled that the earlier session had only been adjourned and not prorogued. The verdict should not give any further scope for the controversy over the role played by the governors in law-making process that culminates with their granting assent to bills and must end the tussle between elected regimes and the centre's appointees. Now, there is still some residual scope for controversy if, as a result of governors being divested of the power to reject bills unilaterally, they start referring bills they disapprove of to the president. That means the author is saying that what by the end of the time, what is going to happen is that if governors keep this power of rejecting bills, they are doing what they are indirectly disapproving the bill to the president. Now, such an eventuality should not be allowed to arise. Okay, now further moving to the next article. Now, we all are aware of the tunnel collapse that happened in the regions of the Himalayas. So, what you need to do over here is now this becomes important with respect to disaster management. So you can refer this with respect to GS paper 3. Now further moving to the next article. Center exempts certain from purview of RTI Act. Now the Union government has added the certain among a list of organizations that are exempted from the ambit of RTI. That means what is RTI? Right to information. Now, right to information is not, or you can say, certain organizations are exempted from this. So, what is happening is the union government has added certain among that list. That means in the list of those organizations who are exempted from RTI, certain is also added by union government. Now, the surgeon in the the National Nodal Agency for responding to computer security incidents as and when they occur. One of its primary objective is enhancing security awareness among common citizens. It functions under Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Now, there are 26 other intelligence and security organizations established by Union government, such as Intelligence Bureau, Research and Analysis Wing, Directorate of Enforcement, National Technical Research Organization, that is your NTRO. All these organizations are exempted from or exempted under RTI. Now, the RTI Act enacted in 2005 said the legislation shall not apply to intelligence and security organizations specified in the second schedule. On Friday, the Department of Personnel and Training issued a notification stating that in exercise of powers conferred by Section 24(2) of RTI Act 2005, The Centre hereby makes the following further amendments to the said Act, namely in the second schedule of the RTI Act. After this date, the entry relating there to the following serial number and the entry shall be inserted, namely 27. So, Indian Computer Response Team, that is your certain. So, Indian Computer Response Team, Computer Emergency Response Team, included or exempted from RTI. The last time an amendment was made to the second schedule of RTI was in 2016 when the Strategic Forces Command was added to the list of exempted organization. That means another one that has been added to RTI is your Strategic Forces Command. Now, two other organizations of the Ministry of Defense, the Defense Research and Development Organization, that is DRDO, and Border Road Development Board, are also placed in the second schedule. That means in the second schedule, you have these organizations also. So the certain have been probing major cyber attacks in the recent past. It was the first responder to the ransomware attack on the Delhi Aims, and also onto the hospital information system for several days. So the reason why certain has been exempted from RTI. Why? Because there has been a ransomware attack. Now this ransomware attack happened where? In the Ames hospital, and to which department it happened? It happened to hospital information system. Now when this happened to the hospital information system and your e-hospital, that means the data of e-hospital were in the regions of Ames. So there is the probe, and this certain is a probe which is doing what? It is checking the cyber attacks. Fine. So now certain, this is your computer emergency, Indian computer emergency response team. Now this is looking after the ransomware attack. So if somebody is going to file the RTI, they will get to know the detailed information, or they have to reveal the detailed information about the e-hospital data, and that is the reason why certain has been exempted from RTI. So this is just one example to it. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay. Now, generic drugs for four rare diseases made available in India. Now, generic drugs, and then they are talking about rare diseases. So let's see what the news has for us. So, providing relief to the patients with rare disease across India, the Union Health Ministry has made available generic drugs to support the care and treatment of four ailments. And what are those? One is your tyrosine type 1, Gaucher's disease. So, one is your tyrosine type 1, second is your Gaucher's disease, third is your Wilson's disease, and the fourth one is your Dravet-Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. This means that the cost of these drugs will be slashed by between 60 and 100 times of their current market value. Now, the ministry is also in the process of making available drugs for more rare diseases, including phenylketonuria and hyperenemia over the next few months. Now, the approval of these drugs are awaited. He added that this initiative would also result in patients' cost dropping from crores to mere lakhs. A rare disease is a health condition of particularly low prevalence that affects a small number of people. So, what or how shall you define a rare disease? Now, rare disease is a health condition, and this condition is what is particularly of low prevalence and low prevalence which is affecting small number of people, and maybe this is the reason why it is named as rare disease. It collectively afflicts 6% to 8% of the population in any country at any given time. That means the population target is close to 6 to 8%. Now, so India could have 8.4 crore to 10 crore such cases. Now, nearly 80% of these diseases are genetic in nature. Now, to bring in these drugs, a special initiative was taken and discussions were held with academicians, pharma industries, organizations, drug controller, and the Department of Pharmaceuticals. 13 rare diseases were prioritized. That means 13 rare diseases have been prioritized, keeping them on note. We particularly worked on sickle cell disease and on the syrup for children under 5 who can't be administered tablets. That means the disease that they have worked on is your sickle cell disease. Now, this sickle cell disease they have worked on, and on the syrups of children that is aging under 5 who can't be administered tablets. That means it is difficult for them to consume tablets. This venture is purely a non commercial venture guided only with motive to serve those in acute needs. That means this venture was regarding what? Serving the people with, or serving that section of acute needs. Now, for years, the health ministry, through various schemes, has been trying to financially help as many patients as possible. But this is a more sustainable measure for not just patients in India but also worldwide. So, let's talk about a little bit what is a rare disease. Okay. So, what is a rare disease? So, a rare disease, or how many are there? So, there are close to 6,000 to 8,000 of rare disease that have been classified as rare disease. And when there are this number of rare disease, less than 5% of them have therapies available to treat them. Now, what else? Now, about 95% of the rare disease have no approved treatment. That means I told you that less than 5% are having therapies, and about 95% of them have no approved treatment. And when they are having no approved treatment, that means less than 1 in 10 patients receive disease specific treatment. That means firstly, we are not having any approved treatment for these rare diseases, and once we are not having any approved treatment for these diseases, that means only a very sizable population is going to get the specific treatment that is required for that disease. So only 1 in 10 get the disease specific treatment. Fine. Now, the point is, where or how do you get these rare diseases, or how, where, from where is the origin of these rare diseases coming from? So mostly it is, or 80% of 80% of these rare diseases are your genetic origin. That means the 80% of your rare diseases are coming from, or they are through genetics. Now, these diseases have different definitions, and how come they are having different definitions? Because, see, now since it is rare, that means what is happening is that different countries are having different definition for these rare diseases. So different countries having different definitions for rare disease. Now, what is the definition of rare disease for different countries? So, see, some have, or some countries have defined What? That a rare disease is one which in which there is 1% in 10,000 of population. That means if you find any one out of 10,000 people suffering from a certain disease, then you can say what? It is a rare disease. Now, certain countries have defined it with respect to 10,000. When it comes to other ones, so other have defined it as 6 per 10,000. That means 6 people affected out of 10,000 people. So, what you witness is that if that's the scenario, then also it is referred as rare disease. So, if you see there is a variation in definition, in some we are saying 1 in 10,000, and then we have shifted from 1 to 6 per 10,000 of population. So there is no concrete definition as in for the rare disease. Now, what else? So in that case, we are missing out on the definition of rare disease. So what we can say is that a rare disease can be defined as how, or it can be defined as what. So a rare disease is a health condition, and a health condition of what? Of low prevalence, and low prevalence with respect to what? That affects a large number of people when compared with other prevalent diseases in general population. That means if you go by defining a health, rare disease according to a health condition, so you'll find that it is a low prevalence that affects a large number of people when compared with the other prevalent diseases in general population. That means when you are comparing it with other diseases which is affecting a large number of people. I'm sorry. I said large. No, no, it's not large. It's small. Sorry, sorry. So low prevalence affects a small number of people. So a small number of people when compared with other prevalent disease in general population. That means it rarely affects a sized population. So this rare disease can be defined as per the health condition affecting a small number of people when compared with other prevalent diseases in general population. Okay, so this much was for today. I have covered nearly all the articles that were important for yeah, that was important for your prelims and main section. So thank you so much.